So we are not new to peacekeeping missions. First and foremost, if you take Eritrea, they have never contributed troops. And of course, Al-Shabaab came within the wombs of Somalia itself. There is a standing principle between the two countries. No matter what government, the relationship continues and is getting stronger and stronger. Good question. Yes, indeed, Ethiopia plays a significant role in peacekeeping missions. In the past, in the 1950s in Korea, the only black nation to have sent peacekeeping missions, which was commended by all. Then in the early 1960s, we contributed in the United Nations Blue Helmets in DRC. So we are not new to peacekeeping missions. We have done it many, many times. In recent years, let's say 25 years onwards on this side, I think we were in Burundi, in Liberia, in Rwanda, then also in Abyei, in Darfur. The Darfur UN peacekeeping mission and African mission is closed, by the way, Darfur, etc., etc. And of course, the most significant one is Somalia. We have been there for the last 16, 17, 18 years. So, mind you, without Ethiopia's peacekeeping missions, the whole apparatus, the whole architect of peacekeeping would collapse in Somalia. We even contributed our own extra troops, okay? So what does this tell us? That Ethiopians and the Ethiopian successive governments are very, very committed towards the maintenance of peace and security. Let me give you another evidence. The United Nations is the one which is responsible to ask member countries to contribute troops. Guess what? Successively, Ethiopian soldiers, even recently as like last year, Ethiopian troops are of high demand. Ethiopian troops are always high on the list of requested countries because they are more organized, more trained, more committed. We don't engage in local politics in the country where we are placed or stationed. Because of this and other reasons, Ethiopian at one time, I remember 15 or maybe 20 years ago, we were the fourth or the fifth largest troop contributing country in the United Nations system. That's a big honor for Ethiopia. Only 3 countries preceded us: India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. All are Asian countries. To this day, they are the top 3 always. Okay. So what does this tell us? They want a serious, committed peacekeeping troops on the ground, because other countries there are issues like getting involved in personal issues like gender violence, abuse of girls, young girls, and the like. So many countries were kicked out of this system, by the way. While Ethiopians, we have a very, very excellent record. On top of that, by the way, the Ethiopian troops are known for not just sitting in their camps, in and outside the perimeter, but the Ethiopian troops are always known for going out and digging wells, building local roads, building schools, feeding children out of our way, engaging with the local population, and they are one of the most remembered and the most accepted missions among the countries. Ethiopians have a good reputation, a good respect wherever we're deployed. So that tells us something. Therefore, it is an honor, by the way, for a country like Ethiopia, which has committed itself for peace and stability, trying to solve the conflicts, issues, and the like. It is really good and a good reputation, and I think it's from the humanities point of view also, it's a great humanitarian act, I think, to be there for countries and people who are in anarchy situations, who are in violent situations. I think Ethiopia's deed is well recognized by all to see within the African Union, because African Union, we have the green helmets, and then we have the hybrid peacekeeping missions, the green and the blue, the United Nations together. Wherever we serve, we have a good regard. That's what I would like to say. It is sad, first, that we have come to that because of the following reasons. First and foremost, if you take Eritrea, they have never contributed troops, as far as I know, to peacekeeping missions. If they are very critical of the behavior and the performance of Ethiopian troops, why don't they send troops as well? Isn't it? Simple. So what's my logic? For me, why these kinds of this kinds of criticism comes is specifically from those countries who don't want to contribute and who don't want maybe peace in the area. So I think the blame factor will not hold water when it comes to the performance of Ethiopian troops, to be honest. Let me take you to Somalia. You know, the president in if you recall last year, the Ankara Declaration, where Ethiopia and Somalia signed agreements to solve access to the sea and port situation, the president, in a very unequivocal way, in a very, very transparent way, he thanked in front of international media and press the contribution of Ethiopian troops towards the maintenance of the peace and stability of the Somali people. And he said, we recognize the sacrifices that you paid in blood, because Ethiopian troops, we have lost, troops, definitely. Okay? So that is what recognition. So sometimes, these countries which are more affected by lack of peace, like Somalia, they even have opted to give appreciation for the Ethiopian presence. And thirdly, what I can say is that imagine today, if Ethiopia withdraws all of our troops, about 5,000 troops from Somalia, what do you think will be the consequence? Think about it. I want the audience to just think about what will be the consequence. Somalia will collapse. There are 6 sectors that were organized in 2004, 5, and 6 by the United Nations, and also the African Union was later involved in that. And Ethiopian troops keep peace a total of 60% of the total territory of Somalia. 60%, can you imagine? One country. It is us who carry the burden in Somalia. While there are 5 countries, Djiboutian troops, a smaller area. Burundian troops of Burundi, they were recalled, and they are hoping Egypt will replace Burundi. Djibouti, Burundi, Kenyan troops, they cover a large one, but it's not as large as Ethiopia. 60% of the total area of Somalia is covered by Ethiopian troops. That's the price we pay for our brothers in Somalia, by paying with blood. Imagine if we withdraw these troops, the whole thing will collapse. Already Somalia has collapsed. Already terrorist groups like Al-Shabaab, they operate recently. They even attacked, as far as I know, Afgoye is a town not far away from Mogadishu. Right there. So who's hitting them back? Who's pushing them back, the terrorist groups? It is Ethiopian troops. In so many province regions of Somalia, in the south, in Jubaland, in southwest state, in Hirshabelle, sometimes in Galmudug. These are the 4 regional states, minus the Puntland. We are not there in Puntland, but apart from there, and we are not in Somaliland. Apart from these 2, Ethiopian troops are everywhere, running here and there, trying to maintain peace. And by the way, when other African peacekeeping troops are attacked, it is Ethiopian troops who are rushed to that area to give them support. It's a fact. Anybody can check. So sometimes it is good to be humble. We Ethiopians are very humble, it's our culture. But sometimes I encourage our authorities to give out the facts, empirical evidence, so that people will know the price we are paying. Because sometimes we are penalized by being very, very quiet. I'm not saying we should brag and be arrogant and say, we did this, we did that. No. But in a very modest way, in a very humble way, guys, we do this, we do that. Don't forget that. And the fact on the ground reality tells us that Ethiopia and the United States government, we have got a long standing collaboration in fighting terrorism ever since 9/11. That is the event that triggered, when America was attacked, that was the event that triggered these terrorist organizations, Al-Qaeda. And of course, Al-Shabaab came within the wombs of Somalia itself. Okay, so actively Ethiopia and the USA, they share intelligence, sometimes joint operations, and the Americans operate from Camp Lemonnier, that's in Djibouti. They have a military base in Djibouti now. Now they operate all the way to Yemen, all the way to Puntland, Bosaso, Garawe, Los Anods, Sanag and Sul area, especially in the Shabelle area, where there is a heavy presence of the Al-Qaeda affiliated Al-Shabaab. They are very strong there. So the American troops are there, and Ethiopian troops on the ground, they coordinate information and movement sometimes. Okay, so there is a collaboration. As to the bigger part of your question, the dynamism of the Ethiopian-American diplomatic relations is more than officially 125, 26, or maybe going to 127 already, something like that. So we have a long standing relationship with each other, whether the Democratic administration or a Republican administration like now, or a Democratic one under Joe Biden, President Joe Biden in the past. There is a standing principle between the two countries. When it comes to issues like peace, security, fighting terrorism, whatever the type of administration, we stand together and we work together. The other issues like trade, commerce, etc., like say AGOA, for instance, AGOA, Ethiopia is no longer an AGOA member, etc., that depends on the trade, commerce, specific issues. Regarding political relations, especially operating in the United Nations system, Ethiopia as one active member of the African Union is a very active player in the African Union. Ethiopia is also an active player in the United Nations. And America also has its own national interest and its own global interest. Sometimes our interest comes together, sometimes our interest might divert. So depending upon the situation, I think both countries are mature enough to accept differences of opinion sometimes. So I think that's how I see it. Sometimes we might not see eye to eye over some issues, but most of the time we have this close relationship with each other because we need each other. And let's not forget, for American foreign policy, among the countries of the African continent, a few countries are very strategic. Ethiopia in the east, and Kenya in the south of us, and Egypt in the north, Nigeria in the west, South Africa in the south. These are the key players in Africa, and America definitely knows the value of Ethiopia and the importance of Ethiopia, because they need Ethiopia and we need America. In politics, nothing is for free. In politics, there is what we call mutual interest. My answer will be in the affirmative. Among the milestones, among the major relations among Ethiopia and the United States of America, one case that stands really as a beacon of light will be Ethiopian Airlines, which was started 80 years ago, by the way, with the assistance of the American government and the TWA, the Trans World Airlines. That was one of the biggest, next to the American Airways, giant airlines of the period. So ever since then, Ethiopia is a customer of Boeing. Boeing Corporation is one of the dominant plane manufacturers of the world, short range, middle range, and long range. Ethiopia has always been a Boeing customer, so to speak. And most of the models of Boeing, we were one of the first countries to receive it. This shows us the confidence in the ability of Ethiopian pilots, and Ethiopian mechanics, aviation technicians, and all the support staff And also this shows you the confidence that America and the Western world has on Ethiopian Aviation School, which is now a university, by the way, where pilots, so many kinds of disciplines are offered. And even countless African pilots, they come from different countries and they learn in Ethiopia, by the way. Okay, so this is the issue. But in the last 35 years, a new phenomenon has started, and that is the European consortium. The Europeans, they began to collectively use their energy, expertise, research capability, and their capital to form a new company called Airbus. So Airbus is now really competing with Boeing in the world. And Ethiopia has always made a smart move, and that is not to put all our eggs in one basket. We were one of also the first Airbus customers in the world. Airbus, its biggest factories are located in Toulouse, in south central France, by the way. This number of planes. Another factor is that Ethiopia has one of the strongest aviation schools, as I said, in the African continent. We have also a maintenance, MRV they call it, a maintenance for the planes. We are one of the few in Africa that we are certified to maintain 727s, 747s, 757s, 767s, 787s, you name it. We are certified to overhaul the engines. And even last month, we became the first country in Africa, as far as I know, to be certified even to paint the paint job of Boeing, which is going to be done in the African continent now. Some of the work is going to be transferred from Seattle, Washington, USA to here. That tells you what? They have confidence in us. And the American government is the one which backs Boeing from behind. Just like Ethiopian Airlines is backed from behind by our government, which is totally supportive and protects the independence and autonomy status of the Ethiopian Airlines. So that's, for us, I would say in conclude, when I answer your question, it's a win-win situation between two companies, successful companies, mind you, and between two age-old sovereign countries, Ethiopia and the United States of America. No matter what government, the relationship continues and is getting stronger and stronger, I would say.